Hey everyone, Professor Snart just checking in here. We are just finishing up Unit 5, which was due yesterday, which is Monday, and now we look at Unit 6, just checking my due dates here, which is this Thursday, February 3rd. And so before I look at Unit 6, we just want to talk a bit about Unit 5. I'll be grading the summary or the written assignment for this unit as quickly as I can and getting those back to you. So as before, be sure you're looking at that file that I send back for comments or corrections or anything like that. Lots of MLA information that we've been looking at then, and something that you may have run into, which is kind of indicative of why databases are actually so useful, is there's a little Alice Munro biographical quiz, quote unquote, at the end of Unit 5, where it's really the quiz element, or the one question, is far less important than just checking to make sure you have an active COD library card so that you can use databases if you're not on campus. And what people found, some people, depending on when you did the assignment, which is funny, is that the assignment asks you to log into one of the databases, do a search, and then one of the entries under the biographies tab, the first one, the first article, would provide a certain piece of information so you could complete the quiz. In the time, literally within the last few days, when I had initially checked to make sure it still was the first entry and everything worked correctly, it was the first article. But it must have been like 2, 3, 4 days ago maybe, new material has been added to the database, which is actually good news. But it meant that the way I had phrased the quiz question before had you looking in an article for a piece of information that wasn't in fact in that article. It's actually the second article now if you're interested to look. And I've actually rephrased the way the whole quiz piece works. If you want to look back at that, I think it'll work much better. But anyway, the point is, whether you got that answer right or wrong is honestly irrelevant. What matters is that you have access to database material. And we want to find that out now for sure, not when you're last minute trying to put some source together for a paper or a much more important writing assignment. So you can double check regardless of what happened when you actually tried to do the quiz successfully and find that particular answer. You can see that you got credit for it just as a complete. There's actually no points attached to the quiz. It really is just an exercise to make sure that you can access those databases using a library card that works from off campus. And lots of things can happen with library cards. Some people just don't have them, although at the very start of the course I'm asking you to get one, or I have asked you to get one. They can expire. You can have holds on them because of overdue items that you don't know about until you go to try to use it. And of course, these things always seem to happen. You run into some hitch that you totally hadn't foreseen coming at the worst possible time. So this is just a little check to make sure that if we can avoid it, isn't going to happen. So you may have run into some problems, but honestly not a big deal, and you can double check to make sure that you're credited for having completed the assignment, even if it didn't work out the way it was exactly supposed to. Okay, so on to Unit 6 then. We continue working with sources, so more of the database stuff. A couple of short stories then that we're reading as well to add to the material that we can draw on for essay that's coming up, which is actually Unit 7, so that's just around the corner. And once again, there's a writing assignment component or discussion board component, but it's very straightforward. It's just reporting on a secondary source you've found related to one of the stories that we've read. So very straightforward. There's no evaluation of the source, really. It's, basic. What's the title? What's the database you got it from? What's the author name? If there's an author name, sometimes those aren't provided for database articles. And just a little summary. So again, we've already worked with summary, but just that strict reporting of what's in the source, not it's good, it's bad, or whatever the case might be. So pretty simple and straightforward. A little material on integrating sources into your writing, which is, of course, Once you've found them, you want to be able to work them in successfully into the writing that you're doing. There's lots of ways to do that, so there's some good examples here. And a little video review that kind of brings things to life a little bit and draws your attention to a couple of things that are in the examples but maybe need a little more attention than what I can give them in just the text version. So Unit 6 is fairly straightforward, really just laying some more groundwork before we get into Unit 7, the first major writing assignment that we have where, like I've talked about before, that'll be really the first opportunity where I'm looking at that essay for evidence that the student, for you, have applied successfully the concepts that we've talked about and just basic stuff like finding appropriate and relevant sources, secondary sources, and then of course integrating those effectively into your writing. So that is just around the corner, so be sure that these units that have led up to that writing assignment, you really are understanding how they all will piece together once we finally reach that first essay assignment. Okay, so any questions, just be in touch, and I'll talk to everybody soon.